Hello everyone, my name is Cortex and in today's video we're talking about barb chaining. A question I get a lot on my streams is what marches are you using for barb chaining, since I'm using 5 marches as you can see, and people get quite surprised by that because usually people are chaining with 1, 2, maybe 3 marches, but not usually 5. So I figured I'd make a video to address this and give you guys a guide and a tutorial on what marches I use when it comes to barb chaining, and how I can chain consistently with 5 and even 6 marches, fully staying alive at all times. So first of all, the first thing you want to look for when you're looking for commanders for chaining is, do they have circle AoE? Obviously, that's the main thing, because in order to chain a barb you have to deal AoE damage to it. So there's a few commanders that do that. There's obviously YSG, Zhuge Liang, Hera, there's a few, right? But there's also a few ones that you might not expect. And the other thing that you want to look for is sustain, which means either a heal or a shield, which basically can help your march to stay alive, because obviously you don't want to keep refreshing your chaining marches, that's going to be very time consuming and take a lot of time away from your chaining time. So it's super important that you look for these things when you're looking for good chaining commanders. Now, another thing which is very important and also a bit tricky, and maybe not everyone knows about it, is AP reduction. Now there's the obvious ones, like the peacekeeping talents, right? They give you AP reductions, everyone knows about it, it's good stuff. If I can go and show you here, let's say on my Cao Cao, you can see you have the AP reduction over here, which, great, right? For chaining, amazing, everyone loves spending less AP for chaining. But the thing many people don't know about is the versatility tree. There's also the same point over here, the same thing, exact same thing that you find in the peacekeeping tree, you can find over here in the versatility tree. And what that makes you be able to do is, now you can use a lot more commanders primary without wasting AP, which in turn you can chain with more marches, right? So you can, if you notice, every single commander I'm using is either versatility or peacekeeping. Now in this case, only Cao Cao is actually peacekeeping, but you can see ZL, versatility, Philip, versatility, Burika, versatility, Huo, versatility. And another common theme that you might notice is healing, secondary as healing, which we'll get to. Again, secondary as healing, and secondary as shielding. So, like I mentioned, circle AoE, sustain, heal, shields, AP reduction. That's what you're looking for. And for the primaries, you really want to look for peacekeeping or versatility commanders that have some of these qualities. Either a peacekeeping or a versatility commander with a circle AoE or with a heal or a shield. Okay, now going over the marches one by one. I need to do this in Expedition actually, because I have all my marches sent out right now. As you can see here, I'll just show you instantly all of them and sort of explain each one. So this is the 5 marches I use for chaining right now. The first one being Cao Cao with Hera. Cao Cao, peacekeeping commander, also pretty fast, which is great. He has a heal himself in his kit, and Hera obviously circle AoE and shielding. This pairing never dies, stays alive for a very, very long time. Well, forever for me. And yeah, this pairing does great. Now the second pairing I use is Zhuge Liang with Richard. Again, circle AoE, healing. You can see a common theme here, and versatility talents for my ZL. And I'll show you the talents that I'm using for all these commanders in a moment. And then we got Huo with YSG. You want to use the Huo expertise actually when you are chaining, because it gives you some extra heal, which for chaining is quite good. I don't think you have to, but I am. Again, circle AoE, healing, versatility. Now, this one is a very interesting one, and quite an annoying one to use, to be honest. It's Philip with Shajar. And now many people ask me about this. Wait, you're using Philip for chaining? Let me see here. Yeah, so Philip, on his 4th skill, he has an instant proc that does a circle AoE damage to up to 3 targets. Now, this will proc on barbarians as well, but the downside with him is that it's very tricky to chain with it, because it's very unreliable and you can't predict when it will happen. So you need to get into position with him quite early and be ready to sort of, for it to proc at any time. Because, yeah, if you don't, then it's a risk that you just kill the barb you're hitting and it's not going to be great. And I'm using Philip with Shajar. Again, Shajar gives the healing, Philip gives the versatility talents and the AoE damage. Now, we also have Burika with CY. Again, Burika has a heal herself, versatility tree, and CY. Honestly, CY is one of the best chaining commanders in the game, because he does it all. Very similar to Hera. Hera and CY are both great. he has a heal and he has circle AoE damage. And if you notice, my CY is 1-1-1-1. You don't need to have skills in this guy to use him for chaining. I'm using Burika CY and this March never dies. So yes, CY, really, really great for chaining. Now, when you get to 6 and 7 Marches, it gets a little bit tricky. Because you kind of run out of very good circle AoE commanders as well as very good healers, or shielding commanders for that matter. So for my 6th chaining march, which actually with the new KVK tech is a bit more realistic because you can get to the 6th march if you really want to on the 2nd day. And also the new tech makes it so that it's more beneficial to grab the barb damage early on, which means also chaining is easier now than it was before with the new tech. So with the new KVK tech, I feel like chaining has gotten buffed actually. And yeah, for the 6th march, we got Lohar with Lapu Lapu. Again, Lohar does a heal, Lapu Lapu does circle AoE damage. Now, Lohar is not great at staying alive. I used it a bit last KVK and it's not amazing. But it works, it does the job. You might have to refresh him every now and then, but it works. And it's the best that I could find, which meets our requirements, which again is circle AoE, sustain, and AP reduction. Now, for the 7th March, again, this is another Philip situation that we got going on over here. We have Cyrus with Zenobia. And Cyrus, similar to... And he's a commander, many people probably don't know what does. But he is a commander similar to Philip, where he has an instant proc that does circle AoE damage, and then Zenobia does the healing. Now, again, this is going to be super unreliable. I also don't know how well this march will sustain. So yeah, I don't recommend chaining with 7 marches, and also when you are at 7 marches, you're pretty close to max tech, so you probably don't need to keep chaining, unless you're doing it for honor, which you can try this. You also have a couple other circle AoE options, such as Theodora. And I think she's the only one actually that's not here. Yeah, Theodora is an option. Now, the thing with Theodora is that her circle is actually a lot smaller than the circle of, let's say, YSG, Hera, all these other circle AoE commanders. Theodora's circle is very small, which makes her very, very annoying to chain with, which is why I personally stay far away from using Theodora when I'm chaining, because I find it really, really annoying that her circle is so small. But it's an option that you do have. Now, that's it for the marches. Now, the other thing that you have to make sure, and I'll show you the talents here in a second, is that you use equipment and you use armaments. It's quite simple, quite straightforward, but you want to make sure that you run equipment, you run armaments on your chaining marches. That's going to help them stay alive, it's going to give them more stats, and overall, you're going to be a lot better off. Now, for the talents, for Philip, I'm running this. It's kind of up to you. You don't need to follow these exact talents. The main important thing is that you grab this. So you spend less AP per barb. That is the main important thing. For my ZL, I'm using this. Again, main important thing, make sure you grab the AP reduction, whatever you're doing. Huo, running this. Also, for those of you that don't know, the Canyon setup does not save your talents, so expect to get wrecked in Canyon after you start using this. I've had really terrible performance in Canyon after I started using this, so expect that to happen. But yeah, and then for Burika, we got this. And for CC, last but not least, we're using this. Now again, it really doesn't matter, and also you should probably grab this. But it really doesn't matter as long as you're grabbing this. This is the main thing, and yeah. Now, when it comes to chaining, you can do a lot with chaining. Like last KVK, I chained the whole Zone 4, and I gained over 40 legendary materials. It is insane the value that you can get by chaining. It is absolutely insane. Now this KVK, I'm a bit behind, but as you can see, I know for a fact all these GT guys, and you can see they're up top in honor, which is quite impressive. They are all chaining. This is not killing barbs with 5 marches. They are chaining, which is crazy to think how much honor these guys are getting by chaining. Now obviously, these accounts are always chaining, so not every player can run it like this, but it's still super impressive. And you can get some really serious value. You can get a ton of speed ups, a ton of crystal, which is important for a KVK tech, as well as a lot of legendary materials, which is really important for getting your gear to a better place. So yes, you definitely want to be chaining, and make sure that if you have the possibility, you look for as big chains as you possibly can. Now, in 1960, personally, I'm going for any chain I can get, even 2 barbs, because there's a lot of chainers here, and it's quite hard for me to be able to chain big chains, and I would be spending all my time doing that. But if you have the possibility and the time, then try to look for bigger chains to get the most value possible. And another question I get a lot is, should I kill marauders? Should I chain barbs? Always chain barbs. Chaining barbs is the most value you can get in the game with your AP. So always be chaining barbs, and yeah, make sure you get that value out of your AP, because AP is super precious these days. They've made it a lot harder to get after the port nerf that happened a while ago at this point. So yeah, make sure to spend your AP wisely and get value out of it. I think that's it for today's video, guys. I tried to keep this video short and informative as always. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm close to 10,000 subs, so I'd really appreciate if you could drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing in this 1093 versus 1960 KVK, which is going to be crazy. Either way, thank you guys as always, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care and happy chaining.